Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Last thing on this Blue Jays roster construction, though, before we move on, and then we'll just talk the rest of this stuff next Wednesday because we're going to have you back for sure. So we'll skip over the rest of it. We'll get to the Tommy John movie on the way out. But last thing on the roster construction. I brought this up with Craig. This is kind of just a feeling I've had about the way this team has been constructed and the use of the DH. The DH has been used, and I just want to hear your opinion because maybe you love it, maybe you hate it, or maybe you disagree with how I view the Blue Jays specifically and the way we use the DH. Is that for the past at least couple seasons, we've used the DH as a day off role.
Yeah.
Right? It should be called a DO, not a DH. It's a designated day off. I think that's a waste. I would much rather have a Nelson Cruz, a JD Martinez, a Giancarlo Stanton, right? A David Ortiz type. I do foresee that is the Brandon Belt role.
Okay.
Now, again, I know he's coming off knee surgery. I know he's old and he's on the wrong side of 30, but the potential is there. So can we just operate for the next 2 minutes under the best case scenario? Everyone's healthy, right? Let's not speculate on bad tacos for anyone. If Brandon Belt is healthy and is able to be our Stanton, our JD Martinez, our David Ortiz, are you happier with a team that has a guy who is literally our designated hitter? Or do you like the old way of doing it for the Blue Jays where it's like, no, it's a day off for Springer, it's a day off for Kirk, it's a day off for Vladdy? Like, those are still going to happen. I know that's still going to happen. But how do you feel about the way this DH is being used?
Also, the fact that it's a catcher spot. Like, for a lot of if Danny's playing, you're DHing Kirk if everybody's healthy. Right? And and Kirk in the 4 spot is also very interesting to me when 780 doesn't play so great over the course of a season. Like, the first half was lovely, but 780 OPS in your 4 spot, I don't know. But like Brandon Belt, every single one.
I'm not a Kirk guy. I'm not a Kirk guy.
That's like my Kirk issue is
especially long term. The longer I look at Kirk, like into the future, the less of a Kirk guy I am. So continue.
I'm a fan of Kirk, but as a bargaining chip, to me, I felt there was a smarter move moving Kirk, keeping Moreno's athleticism, keeping Moreno's utility ability to play other positions.
I agree.
Right. I thought that if you could have packaged Lourdes and Kirk for Varsho, I feel like that was a lot smarter move. And the physicality of depending
smarter move, sure, but if the Diamondbacks didn't want it, if they agreed that they would rather have Moreno than Kirk too. I just
mean, if you're starting there as your moving point, right? Like, Kirk was very sought out. Kirk is still very sought out. Like, there's teams out there that very much want Alejandro Kirk, a potential 300 hitting catcher, right? But to know that that's a 275-pound guy behind the plate, what's his knees going to be like? The guy, we love to watch him run, but he's not moving very fast. And the fact that if Moreno could come in and you see Moreno as that athletic version of what Kirk can do. The same way, they're both contact hitters with a little bit of power potential if they elevate their launch angle. It's all there, but Moreno's the freak athlete. So to see that loss, that hurts with the DH position. And like any one of our moves that we brought in, Kiermaier, Varsho, Belt, I don't get mad at them individually. I get mad at all of it together. I get mad at all of these moves together. So if we're looking at the team at the end of 22 and you bring in Brandon Belt as a DH for that team, that is a great move to have that lefty slugger with at least Teo or at least Lourdes still in the lineup, right? To me, having Teoscar Hernandez as your DH, I'm all for that, right? I don't care. That guy mashes and you just take him out of the field, put Kiermaier in defensively and keep his bat. That would have been a possible move. That's what they're conceiving of doing in Seattle. So to me, I don't like the idea of it being a rest spot. I think you
Okay.
painted yourself into a position with Springer being hurt so much and going even more this year into injury prone players, right? We were replacing our 63% of on the field center fielder Springer with a 63% Kiermaier and a 60% Belt and a 58% Ryu. And it's just like all of that is what that you're now filling your DH spot because your injuries are now your DH spot, right? And your bullpen, like all the acquisitions that we've had to make for bullpen, it's just like Gosman, Barrios, Ryu, Kikuchi for $80 million last year came in 270 innings shy of what we expected. Okay. 270 innings shy on $80 million. You spend 80 million, you get 270 innings less than you expected. That's why your bullpen sucks. So let's bolster our bullpen and lose our offense that made us a team. That was the core of this team. Let's give up what we were, what the fans cheer for, the core base, the way this franchise sells itself.
Well, sure, let's give up the team that, like you just said, wasn't getting it done, and let's pivot.
But you had they didn't get it done in 21. Okay, but that's a first place team with $100 million of payroll to add to it. That's that forward. You move that forward. You got 50 million of that. You should win 100 games the following year. Not 92 off of 100 projected is 9 wins less. Last year was 9 wins less than what we should have had. Absolutely 9 wins less, spending 60 million more.
Yeah.
Okay. If we are a 92 win team this year and Shapiro and Atkins are still the GMs, what the fuck, Adam? Okay. You didn't make the team better. You literally you spent 60 million to make the team 10 wins worse. That's embarrassing. That's fucking embarrassing, man. I could spend fucking half of my day and do a way better job than that. I know it's ridiculous to say better than GMs of the Blue Jays. Trust me, man, I so could. Those are stupid moves.
All right, Joel. All right. I love you. Let's end the rant there. We're going to skip over the next 3 topics. We are already gone long. No, this is great because those topics were just filler topics, let's be honest. So, Angels ownership, Artie Moreno, not going to sell the Angels. Xander Bogaerts, it's interesting, but it's also a little bit old news. We'll get to that next week sometime if we need to. MLB needs this tech. We're going to put a pin in this because this, I think, is a great idea. But I don't want to gloss over it. I really want to deep dive this tech. So we'll do this next Wednesday.